What's up, guys? It's your boy Jay Color here with another new episode of the main event. Now today we're talking about NXT Takeover War Games, and as you can see, I did have some stuff out here because I was planning on doing a little bit of a skit, but really after watching that super jam-packed edition of Takeover, I think we're just going to skip that and kind of hop into all the things that there were to talk about tonight. Now I do have my notes here, so I do want to try to go over because there's so much that I probably couldn't do this from memory. Disclaimer at the top of the review here, I haven't been regularly watching NXT lately. I kind of stopped watching this year, towards the beginning of the year, but I have been watching the takeovers. I try to watch the individual episodes, but really, guys, there's so much wrestling out there at this time, and there's so much other stuff to do that it's kind of hard to fit in an hour of NXT every week as well. That said, I try not to miss these takeover shows because they're usually positioned in front of a big pay-per-view, and they're usually better than the pay-per-view, and I think tonight was no exception as well. So we kick things off with Cassius Ohno. As you can see, that we have a match shown here, and I think this match, the gameplay between Cassius Ohno and Lars Sullivan is better when the actual match was. The actual match, in my opinion, was kind of boring, to be quite honest, and I think that's by design. I think they're really trying to build Lars up. And this one, unfortunately, was at the expense of Ohno. Cassius really hasn't been able to get anything going since coming to NXT, and it's really unfortunate, but I think he's kind of been overshadowed by other guys coming in, like the Adam Coles, like the Drew McIntyres, and he's been kind of lost in the shuffle. In the same way that Austin Aries was back when he debuted and then Shinsuke debuted right after him, I think Cassius has been suffering the same sort of fate. Now, Sullivan is kind of a strange animal. Like I said, I haven't been watching the individual episodes, so this is kind of my first introduction to him. He is impressive stature-wise, but this in-ring action itself, it was pretty much Ohno getting in all the offense. The story they were telling was Ohno was trying to prove himself, but in the end, just like that, Lars Sullivan gets the win. The most remarkable aspect of the match was when Ohno kind of punched Sullivan in the nose, but outside of that, just a dull way to kick things off. Now, we had a segment here where they showed, and they would do this throughout the night, as they do it every takeover, the guy sitting at ringside, and they showed the UK Championship competitors, Tyler Bate, Wolfgang, I forget who else was there, Pete Dunne wasn't. But it raises the question, what are they doing with these guys? You know, they were on Raw in 205 when WWE was on tour in England, but they really haven't had anything for them. There were rumors that they were going to do a TV show, which have kind of been starting back up again, but they've just kind of been, you know, they're part-time guys, very, very part-time guys who come in every once in a while and have a match. And that's really all they've been. And I think they're capable of so much more, especially Dunne and Bate. If no one else, if they just sign Dunne and Bate, I think you can put both those guys on the main roster, quite honestly. Our next match was the Velveteen Dream versus Aleister Black, and I think up until the main event, this was the match of the night. It was a great match. I really haven't been exposed to Velveteen Dream either, but I was very impressed. They talked about him being a homegrown guy, not in the industry very long, but I think his personality just shone so bright tonight, maybe brighter than any other competitor. Aleister, again, having a great entrance, and that being countered by the Dream wearing the tights, the Rick Rude tights with Aleister on one leg and himself on the other, which was really cool. To start the match out, they had a really great chain mat wrestling, which was surprising because you don't really think of that from a guy like Aleister Black. And I think the storytelling in this match is what made it so great. Now, the in-ring action was good, but the storytelling, just a simple storytelling, and I think NXT excels at this by taking a simple story and really doing something special with it. In this case, Velveteen Dream trying to get Aleister Black all night long to say his name, and Aleister Black just being stoic and refusing. I loved both of Aleister Black's middle rope moonsaults. I think that is probably one of the most amazing moonsaults I've seen in a long, long time. Just how he runs and hits that rope and flips back. I also liked the Velveteen Dream's Death Valley Driver, the way he flipped into it. I thought that was really entertaining. And I liked his DDT, kind of a version of what Andrade Cien Almas does, sort of, but kind of pulling him all the way forward and then flipping him into the DDT. The one thing I didn't like about this match, which would rear its head throughout the night, was the camera work and the direction. All throughout the night, this became a theme where the camera was missing stuff, and I really noticed it first in this match, and it's a shame because there'll be, in this one in particular, you had Velveteen Dream sit out and do Black's taunt, and then Aleister Black countered, and you saw the reaction on Dream's face, but you didn't see until the camera panned over Aleister kind of moving forward, which is what got the reaction. In the end, Black wins, but he does say Velveteen Dream's name, which I thought was good, and both these guys just look like $1 million. Even in, again, a great thing NXT knows how to do is take a loss and help it to elevate a guy like Velveteen Dream, and I think he has quite the future ahead of him. Next up, they showed, again, people on ringside, and this time it was Asuka, Finn Balor, and Funaki, and one of these things is not like the other. I thought it was funny how this really showed how empty the arena is. WWE has been having a big problem with not being able to fill arenas lately, and I thought this was just a poor decision to have these guys sitting here or to film them the way they did, where you can just see the entire side of that arena was empty. Anyway, into the next match, the Fatal 4-Way for the Women's Championship. Thoughts on some of the competitors in this match. They kept talking about how Peyton Royce was going to win, which was kind of a tip-off that she wasn't going to win. But I think everybody did think she would win. I think she was the most logical choice to become the next Women's Champion. Ember Moon, I know her story has been demanding her to rise to this occasion, and she's tried and tried. But really for me, Ember Moon, the more I see her, the less I like her, because I just don't think she has the charisma to carry that women's division. She's super athletic, and she can have a great match, as seen by her matches with Asuka. But she just is like a charisma vacuum. Like, she smiles and does the little thing, and those are all things that have been given to her. Those are directions that she's been given. But just her charisma herself, I don't think she has any. And that's a real shame. I mean, she could develop it over time, but right now I would have rather seen somebody like Peyton Royce. I think you couldn't give it to Kairi Sane just because of the similarities to Asuka, but they did help to protect her. A thing that I'm realizing is that with all the people, all the women that go up to the main roster and just immediately are demoted, like Bayley and Asuka, even just in the month that she's been on TV, it worries me that the pirate gimmick, the pirate princess, is not going to work on the main roster. I cannot foresee that being something that works on the main roster. This was an okay match. I think it would have been a lot better if it was even a triple threat. I think there was one woman too many in this match. They were constantly trying to time things correctly, even to the point where Kairi Sane missed the 3 count. It was absolutely a 3. That was a 3 count. The fans started chanting, that was 3, and it was. And it was just because of a timing issue that you had all these moving parts in that match, and they really couldn't communicate well enough to keep things together. Some things that I liked. I did like the powerbomb on Nikki Cross to the outside. It just looked devastating. I liked the leapfrog spear, how Kairi was leaped over and then she speared Peyton Royce. I liked the double elbow drop that Kairi Sane delivered, and I liked even though it led to the ending that I didn't like, I did like the double top rope flipping stunner. That was pretty cool. It was a lot cleaner than it appeared on first look. But I just, like I said, I'm not a fan of Ember Moon. I hope she doesn't hold the title too long, especially after we had this super long reign by Asuka. And when Asuka came in and gave the belt to her, I couldn't help but think she couldn't get the job done against Asuka. So it just highlights the fact that this is kind of like a silver trophy. And honestly, I just wanted Asuka to take the title back and be like, nobody's ready for Asuka. Because honestly, nobody ever was. And I wouldn't have had a problem with her retiring the belt, them introducing a new one, or her taking it to Raw. Because honestly, this just makes it look like, the way they did it tonight, it made it look like Ember settled for second place. Next up, they showed more guys, KO and Samoa Joe, and I thought it was funny how Owens had the Undisputed Era shirt on. I really like that. Not much else to say there. And then we had the NXT Championship match. These championship matches have often not been the main event of takeovers, and that I think that's a testament to the rest of the roster. But that said, I did really enjoy this match. I just wish they would give Drew McIntyre his old music back. The new music is like, that was the one good thing about McIntyre in his first run, was his awesome music. And watching this match, I kind of wondered, and I almost wonder if this was a way to get a title off of him to just move him up to the main roster, because it's astounding to me that this guy is not the guy. They go with a guy like Roman Reigns, and I know Drew hasn't been with the company for a while, but you just look at his in-ring ability, his movement, his strength, his stature, his look. And I know that Vince had once ordained him to be a next world champion. But just this match in particular, I never felt more than I ever have that, hey, this guy could have been in Roman Reigns' place. Into the match itself, Selena is super short, which it was a hilarious point throughout this match. McIntyre is just towering over her, and there are a couple moments here, of course, where he reversed the Hurricane Rana and just placed her back up on the apron. I like that moment, as well as the short Hurricane Rana that led to a near fall later in the match when CN slid in. And then at that point I had thought, okay, this match, he's not going to win. That was as close as he was going to get. Of course, he did go on to win, which was a huge, shocking moment. I didn't see that coming. I thought McIntyre would hold it at least until maybe Adam Cole took the belt off of him. It did kind of look like the ending was botched there, and part of me wonders if there was miscommunication that allowed CN to win, and it also looked like Drew might have been injured at the end there. So I almost wonder if that ending wasn't supposed to go like that, and then I think with as much as CN celebrated at the end, I doubt that was messed up. I think maybe he would have gotten hurt, or he did get hurt, but I don't think that the ending was botched there. At least CN winning was not botched. I liked how Drew McIntyre slid under CN as he was bouncing off the top and kicked him early on in the match. I liked how the reverse Hurricane Rana was stopped and reversed into an Alabama Slam. I like that a lot. CN had a gorgeous moonsault to the outside as well. There was a lot of great moonsaults tonight. I loved how Drew deadlifted CN almost into a set-out powerbomb. I thought that was super impressive. Again, more evidence as to why McIntyre, I think, can be a top guy. And I can foresee him going up to the main roster. What else was in this match that I liked? The reverse knee strike on McIntyre in the corner. I thought that was really cool. The Claymore, that was my favorite Claymore that Drew's ever hit, kind of like blowing a hole in CN's chest. I love that a lot. And then, of course, the ending, which was just, again, as watched as it was, it's just a huge talking point. And it's like, maybe it's because I haven't been watching week to week, but like, where do things go from now? That's the exciting part. That's one of the things that would get me to watch on Tuesday night or Wednesday night. Sorry about that, guys. That was the time limit for my camera there, so I just had to reset it and then we can continue on here. So the War Games match, I thought it was weird that the War Games cell didn't have a roof on it. That was my first thought. And then my immediate second thought was, okay, somebody's going off the top of that thing. But then as they started talking about the rules, yeah. Now, again, War Games hasn't been a thing for like 20 years, and so maybe it's just my memory, but those rules seem outlandishly different than what War Games had been before. You did have the 2 rings, and you did have guys entering minute intervals, but the shark cages and the guys coming in together and the escape rule, those all seemed like weird variations, which weren't ended up being bad things, but just were things to notice there. I hate the Undisputed Era's name. It is the worst faction name. I know it's a nitpick, but I can't stand that name. I don't know what it is. You could call these guys System Shock, you could call them Future Shock, and I think it would have been a 10 times better name. That's just my opinion. So, again, there's a lot to get into here, but kind of let's try to get into piece by piece. I'm going to be referring to my notes a bit more now. So, the 3 guys starting it off, Adam Cole, Eric Young, and Roddy Strong, Roderick. I think these were the 3 best guys to start it out, but unfortunately, the way the match began, things really started out kind of tame. They started out slowly. It didn't start as entertaining as I thought it would, given the talent of these 3 guys. And the crowd seemed kind of dead to start things off as well. Even going so far as to before everybody was in the ring. So when the Undisputed Era came in, and it was a 3-on-2 beatdown, that was kind of boring. And then you had the Authors of Pain come in, and they beat down everyone for a little bit, which has kind of been a systematic problem. I never really liked War Games as much as everyone else. It's a novel concept, but you do get a lot of these, just one guy comes in and then that team just beats everyone down and then the next guy comes in. Eventually Sanity comes in and they kind of run the roost and they introduce the toys, and that's where things really kind of start to take off. Before that point, like I said, the crowd was dead. I did notice there was a steel partition between the rings, which will come into play later on. There was a botch with the lights, which is kind of a minor gripe. As Sanity comes in and everybody is starting to engaging in the match, well, right before that, Authors of Pain were throwing the guys. This was the one entertaining thing before things really started to kick off. Was the Authors of Pain throwing guys from one ring into the other, and then going so far as to grab Strong and then throw him in on top of everyone else. Once the toys started coming in, and Alexander Wolf just like pulls out that nightstick, I thought that was a cool visual. Also Damo on the outside, he was like getting ready to come in, and then like he hadn't put tables in yet, and then everybody's like, we want tables. Did he know that request was going to come up? Did he know the fans were going to start chanting that? Because that's when he went and got the tables, which would later come into play. I thought that was pretty smart on his part, waiting for that moment for them to start chanting that. The spots in this match. Now we had one where I believe it was Kyle O'Reilly who went for a chair shot, and I think it was one of the Authors of Pain who got out of the way, and the chair shot rebounded and hit himself in the face, unprotected. Now, granted, it was himself, so it's not going to be as hard, but still, an unprotected chair shot to the head. I don't know if he would have gotten that approved in this day and age. If he did, wow. But it was kind of what? That just happened? Let's see what else. Damo kind of ruled the roost for a while there. He ate the key, which I doubt it was a key. I wonder if it was just like a piece of something edible in the shape of a key, because I can't see him swallowing a steel key. Maybe he did, but I doubt it, because you don't need a key to lock something, which is the thing. And then later they got it unlocked. So Damo was running the match for a while. He had a drop kick into a senton. That was really impressive, and he was just kind of taking guys out one by one, and then later the announcers would go so far as to say, this guy's the MVP of this match. I liked how he got one of the guys up. I think it was O'Reilly, or no, it was Adam Cole, I think. And then he stood over, I want to say Fish, and he did a Northern Lights driver, or a Michinoku driver on top of, on Adam Cole sitting down on Fish. I thought that was a cool visual. Again, really bad direction in this match. You were missing things. So like while guys were doing things in one ring, like I think Damo had gotten a Samoan drop followed with slam combo, and then one of the Authors of Pain had done it in the other ring, but you didn't see that at all because the direction was so awful in these damn matches. I liked the 3-man Chasing the Dragon, where they did the Chasing Dragon and then Adam Cole hit the super kick on it as well. At this point, things were really breaking down. There's absolute chaos here. I like the chain utilized arm breaker that Kyle O'Reilly did. He looked like he was having trouble wrapping up, but then when he got the arm back and was pulling the chain, that was a cool visual. And then, of course, Eric Young coming in for the save, and then Bobby Fish coming in for the save with a beautiful moonsault. Another great moonsault tonight. That's also one of the themes tonight, apparently, was awesome moonsaults. I like the 2-ring super collider. That was an awesome spot. Both Authors of Pain had got up guys and then super collided them in between the rings on Big Damo's head. That was a cool visual. I liked Eric Young carrying one of the Authors of Pain and driving him on the other. That was super impressive. Lots of big spots in this match, and I do want to mention them. But it just sounds like more spot. But the psychology of it, I think, played out better than just a listening note like this. Go and watch this match. It's probably one of the best hardcore matches I've seen in a long time. I'm going to continue talking about spots because they were really cool. Let's see here. The 9-man Tower of Doom, where Adam Cole sits in between the rings. He's like, Adam Cole, baby. And then everybody goes, and there's 2 guys on top trying to fight him, and then 2 more guys behind who are trying to grab him, and then both Authors of Pain grab 3 guys apiece and powerbomb them down, which was a super amazing Tower Doom. Now there was a lot of assistance there with guys falling back, but it was still a cool sight. Adam Cole sat on the top rope after that promo forever for the AOP to set tables up, which you knew was going to backfire. And then Alexander Wolf came in and German suplexed from the top rope one of the Authors of Pain. And in the process, you would see later on, fucked up the back of his head. Like, he cut his head all up and he was bleeding everywhere. If you looked at the table at certain parts of the match, you could see huge blood stain on there. So I hope he got the medical attention he deserves. There were a couple of shots where, and this was really it for Alexander for the rest of the night, because there are a couple of shots you see where he's just stained with blood, and it's a nasty looking gash. I liked, from there, Adam Cole climbed up to the top of the cage, and he's inchworming across the top there. For a while, lots of things started happening. For instance, Big Damo hit a coast to coast. Big Damo hit the Shane McMahon, Rob Van Dam coast to coast, which was a really cool sight. And he's pointing up to Adam Cole and he's like, you watch this. And then, of course, Adam Cole sits up, and you're like, what is his plan? Roddy flies up the cage. They stand there for a while. Crowd's chanting, please don't die. I was thinking the same thing. And Roderick Strong superplexes Adam Cole off the top rope down onto the other men in this match, minus Alexander Wolf, who, of course, was severely hurt at this point. As we're going into closing minutes of the match, everybody's like in a pile on top of each other. Pinfalls counted. I think it was on Strong, or maybe Adam Cole, and he kicks out and all. Everybody just kind of rolls over like that. There was a last chapter at this point where the Authors of Pain, I think on Big Damo, on the partition, one of the Authors of Pain jumps from the rope, top rope, and hits him onto the partition. And then at the very end, Eric Young is like trying to get into it. Adam Cole hits him in the back with a kendo stick. He picks up the chair. Adam Cole, it's hard to tell what it is, if it's an enziguri or if it's like just a drop kick or what from the angle. Again, bad directing. You missed the kendo shot too until they showed a replay of it. But Adam Cole gets the win. and the Undisputed Era stand tall in the midst of all the chaos. And you kind of think, all right, this seems like they wanted to utilize the War Games, and now, like, where does the Undisputed Era go from here? And it's probably to take over all of NXT. I can very well foresee Adam Cole winning the NXT Championship. It would be weird for him to beat CN to do it, but I can see it happening probably at the next TakeOver. And they may have taken the title off of McIntyre because they didn't want Cole to end up beating him. But we'll see what happens now with McIntyre going from here. Again, this was a super great show tonight. It makes you want to watch the NXT episodes. A lot of fantastic action. And again, you have these takeover shows where these guys are really allowed to put on great performances, and then you have a WWE pay-per-view the night after who struggles to follow. This happens at WrestleMania, and now tomorrow at Survivor Series, where you got so many just lame matches. There are a couple of matches that people want to see, a couple that I want to see just for the name calling in it. But this is a show that I went into with relatively no expectations because I don't watch the weekly product, but knowing it's a takeover, so it's going to be good. And it delivered huge. Again, I'm not a big fan of a War Games match, but this War Games match was incredible. It's worth watching for the quality of that match alone. Again, guys, NXT kind of puts the main roster to shame. That's it for my thoughts tonight. Great show. If I had to rank it, I would say it's probably A. Maybe not so far as like an A+. If it was on a 10-point scale, probably like a 9 out of 10. I don't really do ratings for pay-per-view reviews. But yeah, guys, go watch this show. It's only 2.5 hours. It's shorter than a regular WWE pay-per-view. If you have to watch this or Survivor Series, watch this. That's going to be it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this review. It's good to see you guys. I'm probably going to hop on some Skyrim VR now. And I will talk to you later. Jay Color out. Peace.